Can I tell you a secret? You don't have to have needles to knit. All you need are your good old hands and some yarn. In this video, I'll be teaching you how, so grab yourself a nice tea or coffee and let's get started. I'm using chunky yarn so it's nice and clear to show you. This is one of my favourites to work with. I will link it below. And first of all, we're going to make a slip knot. So we're going to lay the yarn over itself. And it's easiest if your working yarn, that's this piece, is over the top. And then your tail end is underneath, okay? And then all you're going to do is take the working yarn and you want to pass this piece of yarn through the back of the loop. And the way we're going to do this is get our pinchy pinchies. You go in and then you grab that piece of yarn, pull it through. Then you're going to keep hold of that, then take your working yarn and your tail, hold on to them, and then pull, pull, pull. And there's your slip knot. Right, so now you can kind of pull this down to size because you can adjust this. So when you pull on your working yarn, you can see that it will get smaller. Da, 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 da. All right, so that's about the size that you want your loop. It's around 1 inch. And you're going to be doing the pinchy pinchy again to make your chain. So we're going to get our fingers, go in, grab the yarn and pull it out. Don't worry too much about this and how it lays. If you do it from the front, like you have done before, every single time, then you will get a perfect result, I promise. So now you've got what it looks like 2 loops. So then you're going to go pinchy pinchies, go in, take this working yarn and pull that through. Okay. And now you have 1, 2, and then you have your working loop. And you're going to do that until you get the length that you desire. I'm going to do 10 stitches. So we're going to go in, pinchy pinchy, go in and grab the yarn. Just make sure it's kind of loose in your fingers. If you pull too tight like that, you'll pull it out of shape. You see that these loops are nicely laid down. If you pull too tight on here, no good. So you just want to let that part of the working yarn flow through. And you can always stretch it out as you go along. Hope I'm not going too fast because in the crochet one, some of you said that this part was a little bit too fast, but all it is just pulling through from the same angle, pinchy pinchy, in from the front, take the working yarn and pull through to the front. Now that one I would say is a little bit too big compared to what we started with. So if you want to take it out, you can just pull and then just pull that down a little bit. This is like the equivalent of the needle. So you want it to be a uniform size. So this size is going to be the measurement of your 2 fingers. It's unique to you. Whatever your 2 fingers measures is what the stitches are going to be. So now you can see we're making a nice chain. And I'm just doing exactly the same thing over and over again. See, that was a little bit small. You can pull them about a bit. So now we can count how many stitches we have. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to do one more, which is 10. All right. And now we're going to turn our work round so it's horizontal to you. You've just done the first chain, so well done you. You've done the first chain, and now we're going to get into row 1, and all it is doing exactly the same thing but from a slightly different angle. So you're still going to be using your working yarn, and what you're going to do is kind of pull this down. Then this one, which is obviously different to the others, that is the first stitch of row 1. So you just want to flip this around, because the working yarn is now going to be going along this track. The second stitch is going to come out of this stitch here, okay? And all we need to do is take the working yarn and put it through this stitch. So we're going to do our pinchy pinchy again. We're going to go in, take the working yarn and pull through. Okay, and now we have 2 stitches in row 1. We're going to do exactly the same thing again in this third stitch here. Okay, so we're going to go in, grab the working yarn and pull up, and now we have 3 loops in our first row. Going to go in again, grab the working yarn, okay. So you can see now this is making, and if you can't find where to go, see where the other one just came out of. You've got a bar below here, okay? So you want to do exactly the same thing. This is the next stitch and this is the bar, so you just go in, pull up, and then you can see you've done exactly the same thing in that stitch. We're going to carry on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We did it. We did it. Fabulous. Okay, we've done row 1. Now we're going to go on to row 2, and it's exactly the same, guys. You are going to be using row 1's stitches to go into. Thumb and forefinger. Okay, this is your working yarn, and you're going to go into this one that you've just made, this stitch. You're going to grab the working yarn, get your thumb and forefinger through. You don't need to move this too much. If you move that too much, then some of the stitches might come out, so just leave that as it is. And then look, you pull that through. So we're going to go along again. So now you can see row 2, really you can see the knit stitches here now. This is so cute. You could make like a pot holder. You can make anything with this, and it's just the best because all you've got to do is use your hands. Comment below on what you would like me to make with this, because I'm happy to be of service to you. I will make whatever you want. Someone said about making a diaper bag. Well, we call them nappy bags here, but in the UK, yeah, a diaper bag would be cool to make with a really, really chunky yarn. But I absolutely love chunky yarn. It's the best. Okay, there we go, look. So that's row 3. Row 3 done. Okay, it might look a bit funky. That would look a bit funky anyway on needles, okay? So it's not just because it's finger knitting, it will look funky anyway. Until you get down to about row 10. But you can see the start of it. And as you can see, if you keep the edge ones a little bit smaller, then all is good. So we'll have to remember that on the way down. So just at the edges, if you're doing it this way, which is the simplest way, at the end stitches, when you go through, you're going to pinchy, go through. Your working yarn is going to kind of come out this way. And because we're going this way, you want to flip it round. So it's facing the right direction. You may want to, you can turn this now. Now you kind of got the hang of it. You can turn it any way you want to kind of be more comfortable for you. Just make sure that none of the stitches fall out. And if you have any irregular shaped stitches, then it is easy to kind of like manipulate them so they look a lot better into place. All right, so now we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, still 10. Amazing. So you can easily see that's row 3 because you've got 1, 2, and 3 there. All right, all along, all the way along. And if you have any stitches that kind of look like that, that's twisted, you can just put them back into place. All right, so remember we needed to twist our end ones because that's coming out here and we want it to face the other way. So we're going to flip that round and then continue putting this working yarn through. As you get going as well, I think it looks neater if you, when you put your working yarn through, you don't need to kind of like pull and out and all the way down. You can just kind of leave them sticking up. And if you leave them sticking up, then on the next row, it kind of pulls it down gently and then they just look nice and uniform. Just make sure you've got a lot of slack on your working yarn. I actually use a Wool Genie as well. I will show you. It's just something that keeps your yarn, it's like a yarn bowl, but even better because it's a yarn spinner. So you don't have to worry about going back and unwinding your yarn. I'll show you it. Okay, this is one part of it. Cool. Put that through and then, ta-da! How cool is that? Where were we? Right, pinchy. And you can see it just kind of flows through. That is so lovely, and you can see where I've done like the pulled the stitches upwards makes for a tighter stitch. But yeah, that's a way to make your stitch a bit tighter. So to cast off or to finish this, what you want to do is make a row of quite long stitches. So we're flipping this round like we did before. And then every single stitch you want the bottom row, whatever number that is, you're still doing your pinchy, everything, but you're going to pull it through even more. Okay, so you're going to make it about, it sounds a lot, but you want to make it about double the size of your other stitches. If you don't do this, it will bunch up at the end. You are doing exactly the same as you have done before, but you're just making your stitches bigger. You're making them longer. And that is because when they lay on the bottom, they will bunch up if they're not very big. So that's too small. We need it very. lot bigger. Promise you, that is what you need to do. Okay, so these are now all a lot bigger. You're now ready to cast off, fingernail style. So we've done our longer row of loops, and instead of coming from this side, we're going to start back at this end. Okay, so you want to start the opposite end to the working yarn, and you're going to take your first loop at the edge, get your pinchy, go through and grab this next loop here. So pinch, go through. Alright, so now you have a stitch that is going along the bottom. And you're going to do exactly the same thing all the way along. So you're going to get your pinchies. How many times can I say that in one video? And you're going to grab the next loop and pull that through. Okay, now you're onto this loop. Alright, so you're just passing each one through the last. You can neaten it up at the end. This is how you cast off. Just make sure they're all straight. And this is why I said to do the stitches bigger, because I just don't believe it until I do it. And then I'm like, yes, I did need to do those stitches a lot bigger. Okay, so we're on the last stitch. Boom. And then you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so now all you have to do is use your scissors to cut the working yarn. All you have to do now is just, with your end loop, just pull this through. All right, and now you can weave it in. You can kind of put it through again a couple of times. Like that. Just kind of weave it through the fabric so that's not seen anymore. As you can see, the edges of this are not the neatest in the world. I say they're not the neatest, they've got holes and they could be neater, and also the top has got these gaping kind of holes. So if you're making this as a blanket, a baby blanket or a gift for somebody, I have another video on how to neaten up these edges, okay? And I'll link that here for you. I'll see you in that video.